Today I'm going to be talking with you about a Tibaldi. This was lent to me by Joost Appelboom. Thank you. And I don't know if I ever reviewed a Tibaldi. It doesn't sound like I did to me. So excitement. Let's do this, see what we get. I'm going to cover the parts of the pen. I will do a writing sample and I'll tell you what I like about it and what I don't like about it. Let's get started. Okay, so here we go with the Tibaldi Bononia, or is it Bononia? I simply do not know, and I'm sorry, but I don't know, so correct me. This is a Martini Olive. You get this fairly cute box, has an orange sleeve, then you have an interesting looking eagle there. We have Tibaldi, Tibaldi.com, and we have a whole bunch of symbols there about what you can do with the box and such. This part slides out. This is very solid cardboard, I should add. We get at the bottom here a set of 2 cartridges. It looks like something leaked in there. You get this really drugs looking baggie, which I shouldn't have done that, should I? Okay, so you get a leaky cartridge. That's not that strange though, because it's been fairly cold here. Anyway, then you have the joys of having ink all over your fingers, and you have a Tibaldi certificate of warranty which comes pre-dusted, so it looks like you have owned that pen for a longer time than you actually have. Okay, so here we go with the actual pen. Allow me to zippity zoom in a bit. There we go. This is the pen right next to a Pilot Metropolitan. It's not the world's biggest pen. It's not tiny either. I think it's a size that works for a lot of people. You have a nice range of nib options: extra fine, fine, medium, broad, double broad, all in steel but with an ebonite feed. The material is resin. You have palladium trim. The price is €161, so that's about $180. It's an older brand, goes back to 1916, but it's now owned by the same family that owns Montegrappa, and it's a cartridge converter filled pen. Okay, let's look at the parts of the pen. So we have this finial here, same material as the rest of the cap. I really like it. It's a very nicely polished material, very shiny. We have a clip that is definitely on the tight side, but it can be used. We have Tibaldi in an engraving there, and then we have 3 center bands and made in Italy on the back of the cap. The barrel tapers down. I have always really liked this shape. Personally, and then the cap unscrews and you get the nib, which looks like it's about number 6, with that ebonite feed. There is a converter in there which also has the Tibaldi name on it, and that's pretty much it. Metal threads on resin always make me a little bit nervous vis-a-vis wearing out. Then we have a section that tapers down, flares out a little bit, and is quite small. This whole pen is not a huge pen. Okay, let's see how it writes. I'll zoom out a little bit. Here we have the Tibaldi Bononia. It is the Martini Olive, and this is a medium nib in steel, and the ink is Edelstein Moonstone, which I thought would, gray might be a reasonably good match. I have found this to be a pleasant writer. No frills, but writes properly, writes well, no issues, no startup issues, no over polishing, no, as far as I can tell, quality control issues. I only have one, but I have another Tibaldi that was sent to me at the same time. Also wrote very nicely, so that I find very promising. It's just a nib. It's not a gusher. It's not dry. It's just properly tuned. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, and I think we should be very grateful to Saint Nibius for that. It is, after all, an Italian pen. Line variation, as always, very careful. As you can see, there is maybe a little bit. This is not a flex nib. It is not marketed as such, so you do this at your own risk. What about reverse writing? Yeah, what about it? It's possible, and it turns this medium into a good extra fine, I would say. So in all, pretty good. Works pretty well. I'm really quite pleased with this pen. Nicely made, writes nicely. What else can I say? So let's talk about likes and dislikes. Okay, what do I like, what do I not like about this Tibaldi? I think it has some nice things going for it. I like the design. I've always liked this kind of rounded off design you also see on, say, a Leonardo Furore, that kind of shape. I've always found that very appealing. The material is attractive. I think it's a very pretty material, and the name is chosen quite nicely, because Martini Olive is indeed very much what this reminds me of. I like that, excuse me. I like that. I like the shape of the pen. It is on the smaller end for me, but I think this is a size that works very well for a lot of people. So from that perspective, I think it's very nice. I also really like the ebonite feed. Ebonite has really good flow properties, and that is something that I have found in this pen. It does write very comfortably and very pleasantly, and importantly, very consistently. Anything I don't like about it? There are two things that come to mind. One is nitpicking, and that is that these metal rings are not entirely flush with the material. They stick out a little bit. This is something that on a pen that is this price, right? I gave you the price, 161 euros, it's about $180. I would expect to be slightly better, because I can definitely feel them, and it seems to be worse in some spots than other spots. On this side it's pretty smooth, and on this side they stick out a bit. Now when I say they stick out a bit, I really mean they stick out a fraction, right? It's tiny bits, not even a millimeter, not by far it's not even a millimeter. So I'm really nitpicking here, okay? The second thing I will say is, at the end of the day, what are you buying? You are buying a plastic pen. I mean, it is a resin with a steel nib, cartridge converter filled, $480. So it is by no means a cheap pen. On the other hand, there's the whole story of, but it's made in Italy, but it is from a company with a long history, but it is a pretty material, but it is ebonite feed. That is a nice thing. So I mean, there are a lot of factors. This is one of those pens, I think, where people really have to decide whether they find that money worth it. It is very pretty, and it's polished to a degree that's just outstanding. It is super shiny and reflective. So that is all really nice. I'm not saying it is a bad pen, because it definitely is not. I also must say that I really like the wide nib options. Extra fine to double broad. It's getting harder and harder to find double broads and sometimes extra fine, so having that broad range of nib options is really nice. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you again to Joost Appelboom for lending me the pen. I appreciate it. I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye.